Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. If you were a fan of the television show MASH, then this guy here is no stranger to you. Mike Farrell played BJ Hunnicutt on the hit comedy drama series MASH for 8 seasons from 1975 to 1983. In this video, I look back at his career leading up to MASH, as well as what he's been up to since MASH ended nearly 40 years ago today. As a child, Mike's family moved to California, where his father worked as a carpenter for Hollywood studios. After high school, Mike served in the United States Marine Corps from 1957 to 1959. He would start acting in various television roles as early as 1963. Throughout the 60s, some of the shows that he would make an appearance in include The Dick Powell Show, McHale's Navy, Lassie, I Dream of Jeannie, Daniel Boone, and The Monkees. Farrell's first recurring role in a television show was on a show called The Interns, where he played a character named Dr. Sam Marsh. The Interns would run for just one season from September of 1970 through March of 1971. Next up for Farrell was a political drama called The Man in the City, in which he was paired up with well-known Hollywood actor Anthony Quinn. Unfortunately, The Man in the City competed against the private investigator show Mannix and Rod Serling's Night Gallery, and ultimately finished third in its time slot and was therefore canceled after its first season. Now, I recently listened to an episode of a podcast called MASH Matters, in which the host of the podcast talked to Mike Farrell about this time in his career. After The Man in the City had been canceled, Mike's agent continued to find various roles in television shows for him, but never a starring role. It was somewhere around this time that he had met Burt Metcalf, who had been a casting director at Universal Studios, and Burt had left to go over and work at 20th Century. And Mike gradually became frustrated with the quality of the scripts he was receiving, and, having seen an episode of MASH, he actually told his agent that he wanted to do something as important as MASH. Well, it just so happened that the timing of that conversation was perfect. It turns out that the producers of MASH had heard that Wayne Rogers, who played Trapper John McIntyre, was talking about leaving the show, and they were looking for a replacement. Farrell went in for the audition, where he competed against actors James Cromwell and Alan Fudge, amongst others, for the role of BJ Hunnicutt. Mike Farrell would get the role and ultimately spend the next 8 years portraying Hunnicutt. Ironically, both Cromwell and Fudge would make appearances in MASH as guest stars during the show's run. The final episode of MASH aired on February 28, 1983. The episode, titled Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, still stands as the most watched finale of any television series, as well as the most watched episode of a television series. Since MASH has ended, Farrell has stayed consistently busy in the entertainment industry with numerous acting roles. Just a few of those roles include doing vocal work as Jonathan Kent on Superman the Animated Series, playing a judge on the television series Matlock, and playing another judge on NCIS as recently as 2019. In 2008, Mike released a book called Just Call Me Mike, where he talks about his journey from being an actor to being an activist. He's continued to stay busy as an actor and an activist for many social issues. One of the many causes that is near and dear to Mike's heart is the prevention of animal abuse. In fact, in 2001, he received PETA's Humanitarian Award. Additionally, he's narrated a public service campaign for them about animal abuse. Now here's a fun picture of Mike Farrell and his first wife, Judy, at Knott's Berry Farm in 1966. Judy would also make several appearances on MASH in a variety of roles during the show's run. While I love the character of Trapper John, when he left the show, I really liked that they decided to replace him with someone who was quite different, and I came to love the character of BJ Hunnicutt. Now, what are your thoughts about Mike Farrell's role on MASH? I look forward to reading your comments. Also, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel, where I talk about the TV shows, movies, and music that I loved while growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there and have a great day.